Hello. You know when I put on some pearls, I'm about to really give it to you. I will give it a second for you all to join and for me to confirm that all is well on the live. So if you are tuning in, give me a thumbs up, heart love. Let me know that you're out there so that I make sure I greet you as you join. It's coming up, but slowly, but it's giving you time to join. Looks like I'm good to go. Awesome, awesome. Alrighty. So, as I always do, I want to give it a moment for Facebook and them to, get everything situated, send my people my way. Hey, Marlon. It's tribute to Janet Jackson Control. Listen, I took it back, didn't I? I took it back. I had to switch it up. I know the bun was getting a little tired, at least for the last 2 days. So I did a little switch up, a little switcheroo on you. I may have to do a video about, not about my hair, but how I, you know, do it. I guess I say do it, but I don't do much because a few people have asked me about it. So I think it warrants a video. Nevertheless, I have given it a few minutes here for folks to join. I know as we continue to proceed that you all will continue to join. I don't know why I'm sitting side to side like this. I'm trying to give you that shoulder action, I guess, people. But let me straighten up here. So hopefully you have not just stumbled upon this live, but you intended to be here. But if you did stumble, hang around. You never know what you might get, right? And for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, of course, I got to introduce myself, but make sure you give me thumbs up, heart love, and share this thing out because we don't want to be stingy with the information that I'm going to be sharing. And of course, if you missed yesterday, the day before, and I think it was April 2nd, those were some previous topics that I talked about that will help you through the pandemic. Actually, they are effective pre, during, and post pandemic. So, this is just a continuation of that. And I am going to kick off the last topic that I'm gonna have this week regarding making it through the pandemic per se, right? Hey, hey, Nakia, thank you for joining my soror. So yeah, make sure you guys share this out. I'm going to get right into the topic, but of course, I want to introduce myself. But before I do that, let me give y'all a little taste of this thing here. Let's see if y'all can. Dream big, all things intentional, personal, professional. Dr. Jaton Dorsey, drjaton.com. Sometimes you got to hit your neck like that when it gets real good. So I hope you all enjoyed that quick jingle. Listen, if it's your first time, again, it will not be your last. But if it is your first time, let me tell you who I am. Even if you're catching the replay, even if you're catching me live, I like to do this because you want to know who you're playing in the sandbox with. So I'm Dr. Jaton Dorsey, Amazon bestselling author 4 times, and award-winning life and business coach. I am a professor. I am the founder of the Commend Her Network and so many different other things, just like many of you, I'm sure. But within my coaching perspective or coaching platform per se, I teach parallelpreneurs how to, for one, launch their business successfully while working a 9 to 5, how to live intentionally, and how to show up as their best selves in life, love, and business. And I can't forget that I'm the co host of the podcast. Date with the Dorseys, co-hosting with my husband. So make sure you check that out. We are available on every platform nearly that podcasts are broadcast. Now, most recently, we were pushed out on Pandora. Now, not too many people are there. I'm just saying that says a lot. So make sure you check us out wherever you prefer to listen to your podcast: Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Stitcher. I can go on and on and on about that. Nevertheless, make sure you catch us and make sure you stick around for what I have for you today. So, if you've been tuning in, like I said, I had total of 4 topics that I've been pushing out to help you as we progress through what we're calling the pandemic. And hopefully you saw the flyer, you saw the details. So I put it there on the screen just in case you guys have not seen it. But listen, I talked about peace during the pandemic, patience during the pandemic. Profit was yesterday during the pandemic. Lord, I put all that together. And then today is power during the pandemic. So I'm excited to discuss this. I am excited for you all to listen and take away some things and even add, because I know the last few lives you guys have been adding some additional information that has been very beneficial. You all are resourceful, of course, and when we put all those resources together, I'm just saying that speaks power, right? What we're talking about today. And so when we work together, we do it collaboratively, we can achieve most anything. So you're probably wondering, how is she gonna kick off this one today? Because you know I like to tell stories, and you let my husband tell it. I tell long stories, like I do, right? And he has to be telling the truth, because my dad has told me that all my life, right? I have to tell you every intricate detail just so you can feel what I was feeling during that moment, right? But nevertheless, I will do my best to not make it too long for you. But when we talk about power, one of the things that I thought about is an experience, right? When we think about our lived experiences and how they easily tie into those things that we may be experiencing, down the line, those challenges that may become of our lives. And we don't often look back and assess those small things that we think were just, it was just that. It didn't have any meaning behind it. It didn't have any substance to it to help me through another thing, another bigger thing. And so, as I was thinking through an analogy and an example to share with you, I thought about yard work. So, if you follow me, you may have seen that. I think it was last weekend. I posted mostly just a dirty glove of me. My hand was actually in the glove, though, right? And I planted some flowers. My husband had me out in the yard. Now, look, and it's not typically something that I do, but hey, it was fun. It was cool. But before the planting, right, there was some extra work. And part of that extra work was raking leaves, packing up the leaves into these bags. And one thing that I must note is that Saturday was extremely windy here, right? It was a beautiful day, but extremely windy, and my allergies were on like 10,000. So combining all of that and trying to gather up this plethora of piles of leaves, right? And so the wind is blowing, and what I'm quickly realizing is that the wind is going well, it felt like it was going every direction, right? And it was like I was fighting against something that I just could not overcome. And all I wanted to do was put these leaves into this bag. And so I have a bag, and you shake your bag to loosen it up. It's a trash bag. You all use those. So I do that, and I'm still struggling to get the leaves in, right? Because the wind is just taking control of my bag, and it's kicking up dust. And, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm sneezing and all this good stuff. Nevertheless, eventually I say, okay, to myself, how can I take control? How can I take power over this situation? How can I achieve what it is that I'm trying to achieve quicker, more efficiently? Thinking through all of that, right? And eventually the determination was, hey, turn the opening of the bag in the direction of which the wind is coming, so that it blows into the bag, blows the bag up, and there you go, right? Because you're already struggling trying to keep the bag open and putting the leaves in there. So why don't you just let the wind do the work, right? Work with it and not allow it to be the hindrance for you to achieve the thing that you're trying to achieve. And so as I pointed the opening of the bag towards the direction of the wind was going, I was able to get, of course, you got to hold on to the bag, because if you let that go, you lose the power. But holding on to the bag and scooping in those leaves, and eventually I look up and those piles are gone, because I was able to figure out the best method of which I could, uh, work towards or work with the wind in order to achieve the ultimate goal that I had for myself, right? And so, with that being said, I want you to think of that as I go through the points that I have today, because there are some things that are going to be going on. As I talked about yesterday, what we're in is a pandemic. And even though Texas, at least, is starting phase one of reopening the state starting tomorrow. I mean, I'm already getting emails from Texas Day Brazil saying, "Hey, girl, where you been? We missed you. You gonna come and see us tomorrow?" So I'm just saying, even though we're opening up tomorrow, there is still a pandemic that we have to deal with, that we have to continue to live through, and we have to wait, right? Wait for the results of these vaccines and other things that are going to put us in a better position to feel safer to go out into the environment. And so, with that being said, that wind is that thing that we feel like we can't control, that pandemic, right? The contagious piece of that pandemic. Those are things that we feel like we're powerless with, right? And so, over these 50 or so days that we've been quarantined, you start to really think about what's going on around you, and maybe even feeling like you're helpless and hopeless, right? So that's why I wanted to talk today about maintaining, channeling your power during the pandemic. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and that's how I'm going to open up, and we're going to keep this thing going. So if you're still listening, make sure you give me thumbs up, heart, and love. Let me know that you're out there, and I am going to hop right on into this thing because I got a few points. Today I only have 5. I think yesterday we had about 6, 7-ish, but it was all good stuff. So I know that you would benefit from this as well as we progress through the points that I'm going to make today. And the first thing is control the controllable. So now we've heard this phrase so many different times, but sometimes we just need to be reminded of certain things, whether you've heard of it or not, and it can be beneficial either way. Yes. See, I got some listeners. You said you got me right. It was 6 yesterday, 6 tips, because that was associated with provision, and we were talking about profiting. So, yeah, so if you missed that episode, make sure you go back and check that too. But again, for today, our first point is control the controllables. What is it that you can control? Like in the story that I just opened up with the bag and the wind and the leaves and the dust. What is it that I can control, right? I can put on a mask to block the dust from stirring up my allergies. I can redirect the positioning of my bag so that I can work with the wind instead of trying to fight against the wind, right? So think about ways in this situation during the pandemic, whether you're still going to continue shelter in place starting tomorrow or not. What is it that you can do to ensure that you maintain power? What is it that you can control in this situation, right? And what you can control is the fact that you decide or you determine whether or not tomorrow is your day. Again, I'm talking about Texas. I know every state and every county, every city is doing its own thing. But whatever the mandates are from the government, are you following that, right? So it's up to you to determine how you proceed with what they have given direction to do or the okay to do, right? So you have the power to decide. So you can continue to stay in the house and shelter in place until you feel comfortable to leave, right? So just think of ways and things that you can do to continue to control the controllables. Control what's in your environment, control what it is that you love and who you love, right? So eating, we've talked about that. Like people are talking about, oh my goodness, it's quarantine eating. Look at me tiptoeing back to the refrigerator. I just ate. Why am I coming back in this kitchen? Right? So again, control the controllables. Whatever you got to do, if that means I've seen some funny memes going around about putting locks on refrigerators or wearing your swimsuit or hanging the swimsuit on the door. So every time you go to the refrigerator, you're reminded that you need to back up because you want to have that, that body that you can put in that swimsuit later, right? So again, control the controllables, whether it be what you eat, what you're listening to, what you do as a result of the mandates that are changing in your respective areas. Just figure out what that is so that you don't feel like you have lost the power in this situation, but rather think about what it is that you can control and move forward in. So that was number 1. And I didn't even put it on the screen for you. I got to put it on the screen for you. So number 2 is pay attention to where your attention is. And here's a better way to even say that. And it is Wherever your attention goes, your power will flow. So where is it that you're directing your energy? Where is it that you're putting your attention? Where is it that you're saying, okay, this is the thing that's concerning me. This is what I'm going to focus on, right? If you're going to focus on the negative pieces, now there's a lot of negative pieces that we can pull out from this whole pandemic. If you watch media, if you watch CNN, ESPN, Fox, whatever it is that you watch, if you're watching that all day, chances are you're going to hear a lot of negativity, right? So first thing is to filter through that and find out what the actual facts are, right? And not just get quickly and easily overwhelmed by the things that you're hearing and seeing, especially not knowing if it's all factual, right? So what is it that you're focusing your attention on so that you can better navigate through the terrains of this time? So again, figure out what it is that you will be best focusing on. Is that cleaning? Is that resting? Is that starting your business? Is that building your website? Is that doing crafty things? Is that planting flowers? I'm just throwing out stuff, but what is that thing that you can direct your attention to? Because that's where your power is going to flow. So if you want to come out of this thing and be productive, be successful, and feel like you have achieved some things, again, you know what? This reminds me of another post, right, that I made not too long ago that said something to the effect of, if you come out of the pandemic, you don't have a new skill, you don't have a savings account, you don't have, then it wasn't about you not having time, it was you lacking discipline. I truly believe that. At the same time, there are people who may not have wanted to be as ambitious or may not have wanted to achieve such things. So perhaps during this time, all they wanted to do was achieve rest. And that's okay. That's what your goal was, right? But the importance is, again, figuring out exactly what it is that you want to focus on, that you can focus on, that is positive, that generates positive energy within you, around you, and for you. That's where the power will flow. So that's number two. What y'all think so far? Because we're going on to number three. Number three. Who's ready for number three? Well, it's there on the screen, so you already see what it is. Think as you want to be. Now, y'all know if you listen to me ever, you know that I love me some Dr. Wayne Dyer. And one thing that he always stated was thoughts become things. Thoughts become things, right? So whatever it is that you're thinking, matter of fact, everything that you thought years ago is what has manifested in your life today. Whatever you're thinking today is what's going to manifest in your life later. So it's important to ensure that you understand that as a man thinketh, so shall he be. And as I say that, there's another thing that I want to read to you right, real quick. And it was out of volume 1 of As a Man Thinketh from written by James Allen. So, in this little snippet, he says, as a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the Lord of your own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation and contains within himself that transforming and regenerative agency by which he may make himself what he wills. He can make himself what he wills because of his thoughts. So what is it that you're thinking right now? Because understand that that is going to become your being. So ensure that whatever it is that you're thinking are positive thoughts. It's high vibrations. It's good things, right? Even if, now we're human, so there are going to be times. There are going to be times when you fall back and you think a little negative thought, but it's about training yourself to reframe those thoughts to those things that are good, right? Those high vibrations, those positive thoughts, those things that make you want to get up, those things that motivate you, inspire you, and transform you from the person that you are to even better. Not to say that you're bad now. But again, this is how you maintain power during the pandemic. It's controlling, it goes all back to that number 1 there on the screen. Controlling the controllables. And you are a part of the controllable. What can you do within your thoughts, within your actions, within your emotions to control your power during this pandemic so that you don't feel like you are overwhelmed, hopeless, or helpless, right? So how many of y'all are with me? Give me thumbs up, heart love if you're still listening. If you are hearing some things that are resonating, that are reminding you, that are triggering you, all that good stuff, right? It ain't got to be new information for you, but it's like, you know what? I remember that, and I needed to hear that, right? Okay, I see some thumbs up, some heart love, so we're gonna clap it up on that one. Thank y'all. So I'm gonna keep going because I know you're out there. Okay. So number 4. Who's ready for number 4? I know y'all are. I am, and I already know what number 4 is, but hopefully you're ready. So the next one is have confidence in your ability. Have confidence in your ability. You know, there's a saying as well that I think of immediately when I think of having confidence in your ability, and that is whoever thinks that he can and whomever thinks that he can't, they are both right. So what is it that you think about yourself or about you during this pandemic that you can or cannot do? Right? Nakia says, this pandemic has allowed me to stop and support my friends more. Amen. Girl, look, let me give you another applause on that. That is awesome. And I mean, you know what? The right people show up when they need to show up. So whoever is here and whoever dipped in and dipped out, they did because it was meant for them to be here. And that's how I go about everything I do. And so, and just because you're here now don't mean you'll be there later. And because you're not here now doesn't mean that you will be here later, right? But that is a good point, Nakia. And I actually made a post today, matter of fact, regarding those nurturing of those relationships, right? Not just in the pandemic, but to your point, this has given us the opportunity to be reminded of the fact that relationships are important. Nurture before you need, right? I love that. I say that all the time too, right? Nurture before you need. Don't wait until the time that you need something to go to somebody that you could have been building relationships with before. So definitely, I agree. This has, to your point, I have spoken to, certain individuals more often than I typically do. Not to say that we don't talk, but you get busy with life and things are just moving, and it's not like I was just, always had to be out or always out, but things happen, right? But during the pandemic, you were able to slow down. I think that's a good part of the pandemic, and that's a good part that we should hone in on and not feel helpless and hopeless about, because look at the positive side, right? We were offered a little more opportunity to be with family. We were offered more opportunity to rest. Those things are commendable and things that we should highlight because it's important, right? And so many people are ready to go back to what it used to be, right? Is it really worth going back to what it used to be after you've had this time to really sit with yourself and sit with your family and sit with the things that you've committed to? Does it really make sense to go back to how everything used to be, right? Do we need to progress to something that's better? Again, talking about number 3, think as you want it to be. Think and be as you want it to be later. So again, number 4 was have confidence. You say you don't want it to go back. I understand. And maybe it's some things that you do, some things that you don't, but just being clear about that thing is what's important. So yeah, number 4, have confidence in your ability. Just know that if you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't, right? So during this time, as we identify those things that you want to put your attention on, right? Those things that you want to focus on, like I said earlier, wherever your attention goes, the power will flow. What is it that you want to have power in your life over your life, right? Figure that out and be clear about it, because if you get up every day just saying what is the day going to bring to me instead of saying this is what I have for the day, then you're going to be controlled by the day, and every little thing that comes up is just going to throw you off. It's going to frustrate you. It's going to make you feel like you're not accomplishing anything because you never even knew what you wanted to accomplish to begin with. So again, have confidence in your ability. Be clear about your expectations and your intentions. And so we are on number 5. Number 5. We are doing good on time too. Because I don't like to hold y'all all day. I don't want to do that. But I want to give you some good stuff so you can digest it and be like, you know what? That was well worth my time. I got in and I got out, right? So number 5, be okay with the unknown. And this is a big challenge for many. Pre-COVID, during COVID, and it will continue to be for some afterwards, right? Listen, we all have times when we feel like, I just got to know. I don't know. Ain't nobody told me nothing. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what went on. right? We don't know who got their hands in it. Like, you feel like you got to know every little tidbit of information about every single thing. And just like, and you think about this. If you are in corporate or have ever been in corporate, right, there's a hierarchy. And there is information that you will not always be privy to because of what? Your level, right? Where you are in the hierarchy. Same goes here, right? There are things that we may not ever know, but deal with the information that we do have and accept the fact that there are some things that that will remain unknown, right? Not saying not saying that you shouldn't educate yourself or research or find out more, but then again, understand and receive and accept the fact that there will still be things that are unknown, right? And again, you have the power, hence the topic for today. You have the power to determine what you should do now that you know what you don't know, right? So again, tweaking that thing to where you look at it in a way that you can really recognize where you have the power, how you can have the power, and where you can implement your power. So, with that being said, we went through all 5 already. So tell me, you know what? Matter of fact, tell me with the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which one was your favorite of what we've talked about thus far? Because all of them my favorite. I just want to hear from you. So we talked about controlling the controllables. We talked about paying attention to your attention. In other words, wherever your attention goes, the power will flow. And thinking as you want to be. So as a man thinketh, so is he, is what we went into on that one. Have confidence in your ability. We talked about, the person that says they can and the person that says that they can't are both right. And then finally, being okay with the unknown, because there's always going to be some unknowns, always going to be some stuff that we just aren't privy to. And that's okay. We figure out ways to work through it and work with the information that we do have to be progressive and to achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve. In this instance, it's remaining healthy, staying safe, staying sane, right? So what does that mean, or what does that look like for you and your family to achieve those things, regardless of if we're in a pandemic or not? So what y'all got for me? I'm going to take a sip. Hopefully that was some good information for you. And again, we got 4 of the episodes you can go back and catch if you didn't. If you didn't catch any of them, binge watch it. Only about 30 minutes each. So it won't take too much of your time. So with that, I do want to mention again that I will be having a free webinar about pleasure principles of business on May 14th. So make sure that you register. Again, the link is actually running across the bottom of the screen there, but I know you cannot click that. So what I'm going to do is put this in the comments again, just in case. And again, free. I'm just saying, you can't beat free. And as I said yesterday, listen, let me tell y'all about free. In this case, free is good because you're getting what I've paid thousands of dollars for in an education, what I've achieved in corporate, what I teach, where people actually pay tuition to achieve or to receive this information, right? So make sure, yay, Nikki, I see you done. Great. I'm glad you signed up, girl. Share it with your peoples too. And here's the thing, you're going to get some information that you just do not want to miss. It's going to be real juicy. I got some stuff I'm brewing for y'all. It's going to be exciting. So make sure that you sign up again. It's complimentary. And it's going to be a good time. So again, May 14th at the bottom of the screen, you see that a free webinar, The Pleasure Principles of Business. And like yesterday, I gave you a little harmonization. I know Marlon had joined earlier, and he mentioned that I'm bringing back Janet Jackson with my side curls. And that's exactly who I was saying yesterday, Pleasure Principles, right? So make sure, again, that you tune in May 14th. But again, first off, you got to sign up because it's going to go down. It's going to go down, as the DJs would do. It's going to go down. So you need to be in the place. But again, you have to register. I don't think I pressed enter on the, I didn't. So there it goes. You should have the link now. So I put it in the comments in case you want to easily click that link and register, so that you can be in the place. The virtual place, of course, is going to be virtual, so you can do it in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to get dressed up. You don't have to get cute. None of that. Just show up, right? So share it with your friends if you think they're interested as well, your business besties, and even those who are aspiring entrepreneurs. So with that being said, I hope that this information was beneficial to you. And again, we talked about 4 different topics, and I want to make sure that you have that information because we have to make sure that we are implementing all of these topics. We want to remain peaceful during the pandemic, patient during the pandemic, profitable during the pandemic, and finally, as of today, we are going to maintain our power during the pandemic. That means we got to be courageous. We got to implement those 5 tips that I shared. And beyond that, if you want to contact me, connect with me, ask me questions, feel free to inbox me, or you can email me at Jatun, Jatun, at drjatun.com. And make sure you reach out to me if you have questions. I love to connect with you. Until then, bye for now.